There's a lot packed into the art contest that's going on right now. Might we unpack it? Also, more. There is no Antimemetics division, CSS formatting, and we have IHP today.
Ugh.
Are you alright? Do you have the hiccups?
Hip hip hooray!
Oh, great. Now I'm tired. Since our last episode, the AARO, the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, published a paper theorizing that objects witnessed to defy physics in our atmosphere could have originated from a mothership elsewhere in the solar system. In response to almost immediate public outcry, the paper's authors amended the verbiage to read "mommy ship" and released the following statement. It's difficult to ignore the correlation between a planet that has so much water and also the thirstiest nerds in the known universe.
It's true.
Damn, feeling lucky. How about most streets? Us two in these streets. Diamonds on my feet. Caught up in these talks. Circling my head top. Should've been more cautious. Now I got what I wanted. Many I've been here before. Made it out of 11 more. Like my frontal cortex. So I can't stop, I want it all. Listen up, I'm calling you. I need you to tell the truth. Remember when you wanted to. Remember that I
Why are humans so silly? So tell me why I read the words intro music and my brain went, oh, yeah. My arms are just fucking stuck like this. A lot of their stuff is not work safe. And then there's my arms are just fucking stuck like this. And the amount of people with problems with their arms reposting to that song showing off their weird fucking arms. Like one person pulled their arms out of their sweater and there were no arms.
Yeah, they're just,
Yeah, and I felt really awful at how much they made me laugh.
Hopefully, if you're posting stuff like that, then your intent is to make people laugh. And you shouldn't feel bad at all.
I can't not feel bad, but it's dark humor type of stuff to me.
Yeah. No, I laugh out loud at stuff like that.
All right, ready?
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Noli, the K is silent. And this is SCP Weekly.
What have we been up to over the last 2 weeks? Nolan, you've had some awesome news over the last 2 weeks. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes.
Oh, yes. As viewers of the show know, it's quite a running joke about how I'm always broke as fuck and, laughing at my poor financial status in life. And
that's
it's so
not the funny part. That's not it. It's you with the needing a new job every 2 weeks. That's the joke. You being miserable is not the joke. At least a little bit, but not that part. Okay.
But as much as of a joke it is to me, at least, it has been quite a reality for me the past few years. For those unaware, I have lived in Utah for the past 4 years, not of my own volition. I know, right? I mean, can you imagine somebody moving to Utah not of their own choice?
Oh, I did it of my own choice, but it was only for like 6 months, and it was for a guy, and I was dumb, but it was fun at the time.
I've known people over the years who just couldn't wait to get back to Utah.
Against their will, though, like is completely different.
Yeah. And, just to give a little, personal, my family situation was not very good. I had graduated college back in 2019. Then, COVID hit almost immediately soon after. So, life wasn't fun. I was stuck living at home because, when you're a college student, you naturally get existentially depressed of not knowing what the fuck to do with your life now that you've graduated. And, wanting to get a teaching degree kind of went out the window because of COVID too. And got stuck with, a shitty gas station job for the next year. And my living situation was not good. Won't go into detail, but it was a pretty abusive situation to the point where I was forced into check into the mental ward of the hospital against my will. And then immediately, instead of coming home, I get sent somewhere else against my will. Not Utah, not yet. This time,
I don't mean to be smart, sorry. Sorry. Not yet.
It's all right. Not yet. Not yet. No. Yeah, this time it was being forced to live in the wilderness. I got sent to, a wilderness therapy program.
Oh, shit.
Where I essentially lived in the wilderness in, North Carolina, the mountainous areas, for 4 months. And it was not a fun experience, When I finally got out of there, I was happy. I thought, maybe things could look up. And that was when I was sent to Utah. Because, getting out of the program, you have to attend another program to essentially reintegrate yourself with society after, living in the mountains for months of your life. And things didn't really improve. I was on my own. I had no family, no friends. I essentially had to take out various small loans just to survive. And the APR rates on those were insane. So for the past, 3-ish years, I have been, constantly been trying to pay them off. They've taken up most of my finances, anything that wasn't rent and food, and even sometimes that was kind of hard to come by because of it all. I had to spend towards paying off loans, and also partially to pay back one of my family members who was the center of a long time of abuse for me, especially just emotional and mental manipulation, to the point where they actually made me believe that I had committed a felony by buying video games and junk food while I was in a depression back in 2020, with a family credit card that was in my name, literally had my name on it, and they made me believe that was a felony, which turns out, no, it's not. It's financially irresponsible, yeah, but no, nowhere close to being a felony if the card literally is in your name. And the moment I realized that, everything just kind of broke down for me. I realized how much abuse I was suffering, and I got the courage to go no contact with that family member. It was honestly one of the best decisions I had ever made. It's let me connect with the rest of my family who have pretty much been forbidden from contacting me, prevented from any contact by this person. And, it's, slowly starting to heal. But the good news of recent is that I'm almost out of debt. I learned that the loan that had been taking up the majority of all my payments, which has been about $500 to $600 a month, I only have about one payment left on that, and then that's done. Of course, there's the couple others that I have to take care of, but those are really smaller in comparison payments. And all that extra money I could put towards, getting those paid off as soon as possible. And from the looks of it, I might be completely debt-free by the end of July. So by the time my birthday comes, I will probably be completely out of debt and actually have money in my life again.
My motherfucking dude. That is one of the hardest and biggest accomplishments somebody can achieve. And you're doing it at what, 26?
Yeah, my dude.
It's very exciting.
I was just, insane with anxiety and worry about my finances. And multiple times I've had to, post a little bit about the situation online, asking people for, donations, which I honestly hate doing. And this isn't, an attack on saying like, oh, if you ask for help, then you're weak. No, if you asking for help is one of the strongest things that you could ever do.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard.
The time this past few weeks when I had asked for help, I'd gotten way more than I had ever expected. One person literally sent me $1,500 when my account was like $1,000 in the red, and it really got a load off my shoulders. And then there was this news about all of my debt finally being done, and it really feels like for the first time in a long time, things are really starting to look up for me. Like I can actually have more freedom and hope to actually get into a better situation in my life.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
This is great. It's fantastic.
Very exciting for you. And I don't know, probably that individual who helped you out would probably want to remain anonymous. If they don't, they can say, hey, it was me.
It was the secret angel within the SCP community, who some of you might know him because some of you might have been helped by them.
Yeah,
so to that person,
community's patron saint.
Yeah. So to that person, if you're watching this, you are a major reason as to why my life is so much more hopeful right now, and I really thank you for that.
Yes.
Yep. And I know who it is, and I know they're one of my patrons, and they have been for a long, long time. And I'll say my thank you. I appreciate it. Just that has helped me keep all of this going, and it's turning into something really, really cool. So thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this got really personal and serious. Let's go back to the funnies. Let's talk about some funnies.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Cassie,
Yeah.
What have you been up to for the last 2 weeks?
Nothing. I think I've just been working so much with trying to just be distracted from my own life shit, and I think that's really it. I'm going to New York to visit friends and family. I haven't been in the city, and I haven't been home since 2019 because COVID started that next year, so we stopped traveling. I haven't seen my child since 2019, so it's going to be great. So he just turned 11. So the last time I saw him, he was like 7, 8. No, it's been a while. So I'm making plans to go to New York for a little while and then come back and work my butt off again. But yeah, no, it's same shit, different week. No monsters again, thankfully.
Mm-mm.
But, normal stuff. What about you, Kelsey?
Ooh. So, all right, unredacted. There's a renewed focus on unredacted. Did you guys see the intro? I'm doing Heartless Detective Agency right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something really like cinematic and creative and integrate that into unredacted.
Yeah.
I've got Heartless Detective Agency done. It's out, published. When I looked at my Google Analytics or the YouTube Analytics for the video, there was a spike right at the end of the intro,
Ooh.
and that's telling me that people are going back and watching it again.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna try my hand at making an SCP video. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Fancy.
Like-
Ooh.
getting a few voice actors and making an adaptation. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's either one of two I'm looking at right now, like either SCP-7311, the one made by Rounder House, where an entire Foundation site, basically their AI becomes sentient, takes over the facility, and is just like a crazy, clingy, annoying girlfriend towards its director, who just does not reciprocate it whatsoever. And the other being one of Ekronak's most famous, SCP-6670, Mama.
Mama. Yeah, I didn't know that was Ekronak, but it makes perfect sense that is Ekronak.
Yeah, Ekronak makes some of the most horrifying shit I've read.
Body horror. Ekronak is amazing at body horror. Holy shit.
I don't want it. You can keep it.
Yeah, I like Ekronak stuff.
I remember once I was talking to him about that, whenever he first released the article, and he said that essentially the saddest part is that if the mom had literally just kind of got her shit a little bit more together and actually took care of her, the only thing that would have been anomalous about her was that she would just be a little girl with gigantism.
But she was just growing through the walls.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's Ekronak.
It's a girl that's like has like gigantism, but then she like crawls into the hole in the wall in her home and she gets stuck in there, and so she just grows along in the house because she's in such a confined space.
Even though we just got done with a K-Con, there's a new contest in town, and riders rejoice. Most of you can sit back and enjoy this one from the stands. The SCP Archives Visual Art Contest. Accepted mediums include painting, drawing, printmaking, sculpting, photography, and similar artwork. Entries will be emailed to scpfoundationwikicoteam@gmail.com. Entry categories are characters and MTFs, GOIs, tales and other formats, classic SCPs, old SCPs, modern SCPs, and international SCPs. Submissions run until May 1st, with judging from May 2nd through the 15th. Results will be announced on May 18th. Winners will be determined by a panel of judges, including the lead judge, Suzit, along with Emotional Entropy, Luxpsycho, Ori Tiefling, Pentagon, Rat King 666, Sugar Rush, and Uncertainty Crossing. Winners will have their art displayed on corresponding hub pages until July 1st and be announced through the SCP Wiki's social media platforms. Artists may post their entries on their social media pages using the hashtag SCP Visual Archives.
Plagiarism seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. On April 5th, Psychic Programmer opened a thread pointing out that under the current rules, the use of other users' CSS, the code that formats the look and feel of a wiki article, without attributing the code to the original creator is technically plagiarism. Psychic Programmer goes on to propose amending plagiarism rules to exempt non-user-facing content such as CSS, stating, quote, "Requesting permission or giving credit for such content is not required, though we do recommend a mention of any works that you have taken CSS code from." There is also a question of attribution. Do articles containing another user's CSS qualify for co-authorship? The consensus seems to be no, as long as the code wasn't written for the article in question. But a more popular opinion in the thread is to table the co-authorship discussion for later, and focus on the proposed modification to the plagiarism rules. As pointed out by the OP, CSS, according to the US Copyright Office, is a formatting method generally not registratable under copyright.
There are now 6 entries in the Deer College Spring Cleaning event. Posting ends this Friday, April 19th. It's not a contest and there is no prize, but there are badges available for participants. Participants include Quirius, Complete Indie, Uncle Nicolini, Pepper's Ghost, Poofy Poofson, and Pentagon. Complete Indie's entry comes with a Parawatch X-Files vibe. Nico's is an ethics committee fire suppression tale, and Pepper's Ghost is hauntingly eerie. All three are short enough to read in the set of one sitting, and well worth the time in our opinion.
Happy birthday to Plague PJP, who turned 21 just a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations, Rounder, you're no longer the baby of the group. Also, Synth Panda recently celebrated their birthday, and Guare will have a birthday this week with Divine Phobia, following closely after. What's going on with new skips and tales these last 2 weeks?
There are 39 new SCP articles, with none over 50. There are 23 new tales.
Go Tales. We're going to talk about Tales in a little bit with it, I'm sure. Now we honor one of the things that makes the SCP Wiki great. The procedures in place that remove works that don't meet community standards. Without these rules, there would be an overwhelming amount of bad articles to sift through to find anything good. Thus, we read and present these awfully written articles as if they belong to the main list and pay our respects. To the ones that must die in the dark so that others may live in the light, these are
Tales from the Deepwell.
SCP is indistinguishable with real gold dust. The chemical compound of SCP is identical to element 79, gold. When something is nearby to SCP, animate or inanimate, SCP will use half of its total mass and the gold dust to become the subject's greatest desire. The subject's greatest desire, dubbed SCP-1, will be perfectly identical to the thing it is replicating, down to the chemical composition. SCP will slowly grow back the dust it used before being identical to its form before SCP was manifested. SCP Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedures. SCP is to be contained inside a stainless steel 10-inch by 5-inch by 5-inch rectangular box secured with a padlock. The box is then secured inside a standard issue containment cell, perfectly 5 meters from any doors, walls, or windows. At all times, one armed facility guard is to be stationed outside SCP-7237 containment chamber and is to turn away any personnel without Level 2 facility access. If SCP escapes containment facility, guards will use the THRL device, thermal heating radiation laser device, to melt SCP until it is liquid gold-like. Facility guards will now have 15 minutes to get a majority of SCP back into the stainless steel box and back into SCP's containment chamber. If SCP is left behind and isn't in the stainless steel box by the time limit of 15 minutes, then SCP will reform into the form it took before it was melted down. Description: SCP takes the form of 4 pounds of SCP-1, has the ability to become a living, breathing creature that will also be a complete copy of the creature it is copying. SCP was located in the forest in Alaska, USA. SCP was pouring from a drain leading to a lake. Locals of the area were asked about anything strange that might have been going on in the region nearby the site SCP was secured from. This is one of the reports from the locals. We like to go out and go up to this well. We would toss a coin down, and our greatest desires would get thrown back at us. The local residents in the town were documented as missing, and now go under D through D. Addendum 042. Addendum Overseer. Dr. wanted to see if she could crack the secret of SCP-049's cure for the pestilence. SCP-049 was put in a room with a table. On top of the table was SCP poured onto the table. After 2 minutes, SCP separated into halves on the table, and the half to the right of SCP-049 morphed into a black leather medical bag. SCP-049 appeared to be overjoyed, clapping his black leather gloves and giggling before saying, "Oh, thank the lords, this is my greatest desire." Dr. asked SCP-049 why he's overjoyed at a copy of his medical bag, before SCP-049 responded, "Well, this morning my medical bag was missing from my chambers. I can't get any work done without it, you see." This experiment was marked down as success.
And let's take a break. We'll be right back with off-site news and
Dr. Gray, what are you doing here?
Intern, I thought no one came to this closet. So this is where I go to read my real crazy fan fiction. And what's that you're reading?
It's, well, you're not dangerous, so I guess I can tell you. This is Confinement. It's a comic series. It's about a guy named Connor who responds when he dies.
Really? That just sounds like a whole lot of bung to me.
It's absolutely not. It's actually really good, but I've been keeping it a secret for now. I don't want Dr. Bucket to get any ideas on dangerous tests he can make me do. Connor can afford to die, but not me.
Wow, that sounds excitingly veil-breaking. Do you know where I can get one?
Thanks for asking, Monica. All you need to do is look up SCP Confinement Kickstarter, and the pre-order page should be the first result. And even if you can't get in on the pre-orders, the comic will be for sale on the unredacted Etsy store after the Kickstarter ends.
Awesome. I'm already so excited to get mine. Oh, maybe I can show them to Grim.
I'm Mukwal, the director of the reboot of the SCP Confinement show. I am working with a team of writers and artists to reboot the show. We are also working with some of the original voice actors such as Shirky, who originally voiced the character Dr. Powers, and hopefully more in the future.
And Koshi, writer and creative director of the SCP Confinement comic.
We are focused on making the show the best we can. Also, supporters get access to the members-only section of our Discord, being able to talk directly to the team, have priority suggestions, and get episodes up to 24 hours early. All episodes will go to Mukwell on YouTube, along with all previous episodes already being up there.
Thanks to our sponsor, Dado Tax Payment to IRS. Many people say, Dado, you is fine capitalist. Perhaps now you are want to become into libertarity with me and Neckbeard friends. However, Dado is deny this. Dado has provided many valuable resources to create good business and rival the Bezos and the Tim Cooks, and also Elon, but would not be possible without many fine benefit from government, like road and also trees. Dado once hired a counter who say, Dado hide money in jam acres like wealthy Hollywood elite, but Dado has plenty of money, so why would Dado not pay tax? Dado does not understand, so sends finance to Washington for IRS. Yes.
Thanks, Dado.
Well, Dado pays his taxes, and I don't know about you guys, but I pay my taxes too. God, tax season was hell for me this year. Anyway, if you want to support this channel and give me more money that I need to pay taxes on, and if you like this content, then hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for the channel if you're watching on YouTube. That's what the algorithm likes. Subscribe, notifications. Cool. It would really help us get the word out about what's happening in the SCP community. If you want to support us beyond that, you can sponsor the show at patreon.com/scpweekly for as little as $2 a month. Today we have Ip on the show, one of the longest standing and most prolific authors on the site, DJ Cactus. Next week, Mike Vale is coming up, one of the directors of the podcast Cabin Tales, shortly after that. So we're stacking the lineup, and I'm just going to say we're working on somebody that you guys are going to think is very cool. Come along for the ride. Support us. Patreon.com/scpweekly. $2 a month. Help us out.
It's cooler than those aforementioned people.
Yes.
yeah.
But Nolan's already here. I think that's it. I think we've hit the ceiling on coolness. We've got him.
Oh,
I know. Like, who wouldn't like me?
yeah. No one's got that youngness.
Yeah, I'm with the Gen Z crowd.
We love you guys. We love you, Gen Z guys
Oh, yes.
and gals
Yeah.
and everything
yeah.
in between. You guys are awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just naturally so fucking done with everything
Yeah.
That's what happens when we grew up and had fucking kids. They're all angry and not taking any shits as best they can. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Things are going to burn to the ground, and honestly, we're kind of looking forward to it, honestly. It's gotta be better than this.
Yeah, it's gonna burn to the ground. I'll just sit here, I guess, and wait for it. Like, oh, sweet oblivion. And Gen Z is like, fuck yeah, let's go!
Just a whole generation of autistics throwing Molotov cocktails.
Hey, now, nobody's suggesting violence.
Hey, I wasn't suggesting violence at all. For legal reasons,
violence.
we are not suggesting violence.
Be gay, do crime!
I've seen that painted on a wall somewhere.
We're not saying to do it, but
Be
we're not
crime.
saying you should do it. Our lawyers are advising us that for legal reasons, this is just the funnies.
Lawyer! With the sound crew in the back.
Now moving on to SCP YouTube. Since last episode, parts 2 and 3 of There Is No Antimemetics Division by director Andrea Joshua Asnikar has released, once again to immense acclaim from the SCP community. The fourth and final episode of the series releases this Wednesday, April 17, depicting the climactic confrontation between Marion Wheeler and SCP-3125 as it is taking over what remains of the Antimemetics Division. The series has amassed a total of over 400,000 views currently, so go subscribe to Andrea Joshua Asnikar on YouTube in order to get notified of when the finale releases.
Just looking at Unredacted's analytics, guess what my most popular videos are right now?
Is it Antimemetics?
Yep, just the readings of Antimemetics. Like, everybody's looking for Antimemetics, and hopefully what they find is more than just that, and a community that they can belong to. I really, really love what he's doing for the SCP community.
And now, moving on to SCP Daybreak. There's been an apparent split in the SCP Daybreak Steam Games development team. The game's co-lead developer recently split from the project, leaving lead developer Squiffy to pick up the pieces. The game, which was scheduled to launch this month, is being pushed back to a yet undecided date as the team reconstructs maps and other design elements that were corrupted when the unnamed developer removed assets from the project database prior to leaving. Squiffy, if you're watching this, we feel for you, man. We're really sorry that you're having to deal with this and trying to, remake a bunch of code that was lost. And, we're back in your corner, man.
All right, Nika Cola Quantum is starting a new series called A Continuation of Peace, a series that asks the question, what if the Foundation were actually the good guys? No amnestics, no D-class, no authoritarianism, no unlimited budgets, no constant doomsday scenarios. This is the world of continuation of peace, a world where the SCP Foundation remains a group of scientists, researchers, and peacekeepers with noble intentions, doing their best to make the world a safer place for everyone. This is a world where the Foundation has to make do with the fact that they don't have the resources to handle things sometimes, the fact that they can't be everywhere at once, the fact that sometimes things are just best left alone.
I'm actually somewhat excited about this series because I only just heard about it, and it seems really interesting to me because it seems like a complete opposite from the Deepwell canon, which in mainstream Foundation universe, it's always kind of like a gray area of like, they do some good, they do some bad. Deepwell canon, no, they're just straight fucking villains of the whole show. This timeline essentially was relatively the same as mainline Foundation that you would typically know about, except in 1946, the US government basically came down on the Foundation for essentially staying out of World War II while it was happening, and basically gave them an ultimatum. Hey, if you want to get back on our good side, let in some of these Nazis to work with the Foundation, and you'll have the US government's continued support. And in this timeline, the administrator decides, you know what? We're sticking with our guns. No. And so the U.S. withdrew all support for the Foundation.
And they just make do. They don't torture it out of people. And
yeah, they just actually wanting to do good for the world.
Yeah, and you could, and this is, I'm not critiquing, but the name, A Continuation of Peace, that's a C and a P. If you put an S word at the beginning of the series, your entire canon becomes an SCP canon.
Love it.
What would
What would be
though?
a good S word?
Sustainable continuation.
Sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon as
That would work.
sustainable continuation of peace. Someone message Nike-Cola Quantum right now.
Because SCP is secure, contain, and protect, and that is
Yep.
the Foundation's mission.
Yeah.
But this Foundation's mission
Sustainable
is to
continuation.
sustain a continuation of peace.
Yeah, Nika, if you're watching this, you know, we're not saying this is how what the title should be, but it's a recommendation. You know, it's your series.
It's low-hanging fruit, released by CC by SA 3.0.
Grigori Karpin and Dr. Sumerian have teamed up to host a new podcast called Anomaleaks Talks. In the podcast, Grigori and Jeremiah dig into the latest leaked paranormal documents from global conspiracies and shadowy government agencies. Anomaleaks is associated with Anti-Static Studios, a collaboration of industry veteran game designers and other professionals who create content based on the paranormal and anomalous, without the red tape that comes with a massive corporate studio. You can find original anomalous works by both Grigori Karpin and Dr. Sumerian on the Anomaleaks site linked in the description, as well as works by SD Lock and Iron Shears.
Can you hear me?
Put the microphone directly in your mouth.
Okay. Just give me one moment. How's that?
I love it.
Just for some reason, I had the terrible image in my head of it just deep throating his mic.
Oh.
It's a headset mic, so that would be really hard to do.
Oh, wow.
Also, for the record, any pronouns are fine. He, she, they, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
instead of they, can it be thip?
Zip.
Sorry. My brain filled in some letters.
Well, good to time among fellow punsters.
We absolutely know what we're doing. We've done this at least 5 times now.
I think we're on number 17 now.
At least 5 times.
At least.
All right. We have a very special guest today. Ip has been an author on the site since 2011. It's going on 13 years. They're the most prolific tale author on the site, with over 120 tales to his name, including a massive catalog of tales and tale series set in the Jorix Site 87 /SNC Plastics Sloss Pit, Wisconsin setting. Ip, we're glad to have you here with us today.
It's good to be here. This is only my second time on a podcast. Admittedly, I am a bit nervous about this.
You can't
Hey, don't
possibly
worry,
be
we've
more
had,
nervous about us than we are of you.
We usually start with a few icebreaker games. So the first one that we're just going to play real quick is called Don't Blink.
That's a 7?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, so
Yes.
you get a 3.5 second look.
It's not as
All
bad
right.
as a 1. We've
No.
had some bad rolls.
Oh, I
know what
actually
that
know
is!
the artist of this. I know the artist of this, but I can't remember their name. This will run for the 8,000 contest. I forget
Yep.
what HCP it is, but and I know who this artist is. I'm in a server with them. But it has like aliens on either side, one with a conductor's baton, one in the middle is a woman playing piano, the other one on the other side is playing the harp under a moon
Yep.
in a greenhouse.
Yes.
But I don't know which one it is. On the tip of my tongue, I swear.
You just probably made the most accurate description of any of the pieces of artwork that we've ever had on this show, and you just went right to left.
Who is
you win the game? We can retire it now.
Who's the artist of that? I would like to apologize to them.
That's Olicus.
Oh, okay.
That's Olicus, and yeah, Estrella Yashti. If that's how you say it. If it's not, I'm sorry, but that's how it's spelled, Estrella.
Oh, wait. It was Estrella's 8K-Con proposal, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. I don't know the number that it landed on, but this is for the 8K-Con proposal.
Oh, that's Alexandria in the center. Okay.
Yeah.
Alexandria, rather. You know, fun fact about all the AIC characters in that canon. They're all named after chatbots that the Foundation's IRC chat had at one point.
Huh.
Yeah.
So the IRC bots were the origination for the names?
Yeah. Alexandria used to be run by Alana, who is no longer active on the site. After that, we had Jarvis for a while, who I believe is a current bot that's being run. Secretary Helen was done by Magnus, who is not as active as it used to be for reasons I won't get into. But Alexandria was one of the first chatbots we had. She was used to look up articles, look up author pages, all that stuff.
That's a very cool piece of history you just shared with us, like where Alexandria AIC's name came from.
Yeah, I don't think she was the first, though. I think Hatbot might have been before that, but I wasn't around for Hatbot.
Hatbot? I don't think I've ever seen Hatbot referenced in any articles. Have you?
They show up in Classical Revival, one of the Jork series, as one of the AI-05s. Yeah, they're also in 5555, which is Made in Heaven.
Yes, Made in Heaven is good.
We have another game that we have before getting to the actual interview called Fact or Myth. So first, we're going to look at the ones from last week when Napick gave us, which was 1. I became team captain for less than a day, where my only action was figuring out how to quit. And 2, I changed my university major to English because I failed my freshman STEM courses.
I don't want to say anything because I kind of know which one of those is a fact.
Guest recused.
I think they their only action was to learn how to quit.
My guess is that they failed their STEM courses because they seemed way too smart to have failed those.
I don't remember what I said. I think I said team captain. I think that's what I said. But
yeah,
somebody will watch last episode and tell me I'm a liar. So
I think I pull that weirder than you guys do. I think when you pick yours, are you two picking what is the fact or are you picking the myth? Because I'm picking the fact, and it's that they were a team captain.
I was picking myth.
So we all agree on the team captain one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're all correct. He did not change his university major to English because he failed his freshman STEM courses. He changed his university major to English from STEM courses because he found the English classes more fulfilling.
I feel bamboozled slightly, but also I remember last week you guys thinking I was silly for thinking that was true.
Well, now it's Ib's turn.
Fact and myth. One of these is true, one of these is not. Despite having over 200 articles on the site, third most prolific author currently, I have never won a contest, and I have a completed novel draft I am too afraid to see the light of day because of the sensitive topics within.
I really want to go and check the site right now to verify that first one, but I'm gonna say the first one.
I'm sorry, I don't believe that you haven't won. There are 17 billion contests y'all have. If you haven't won one, you should win the default contest because that's inhumane at this point.
Goddamn lifetime achievement award even. Good one for the Twitter poll.
All right.
Listeners, you can respond to our Twitter poll. Tell us what you think and find out the answer next week.
Twitter, tell us if you think Ip is a coward or sucks at writing. Neither, clearly.
Yeah, just
However,
destroy their
one of these
self-esteem.
things is not like the other. But I refuse. Go Twitter.
Oh, we actually had some a Twitter message for Ip, didn't we? Because we reached out yesterday and we were like, hey, if you guys could ask the most prolific tale writer on the site, Ip's going to be on. If you could ask him anything, what would you ask? And we actually got a question.
Unless it's from our favorite plant. Then it's not allowed.
Yeah, shout out to Feikle.
Because, he's a plant and he's a plant. Damn it, Ficus.
This is from Fierce Fauna on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Sloth's Pit. 2 words that I heard off and on when I first got into creepypasta. For some reason, I connected them with Ong's Hat. They didn't seem connected. I've learned to not be too disappointed by stuff with no substance and no ending. The trip and the mystery is enough. Wherever else they go with this, thanks for tossing a cool thing into the ether.
All right.
I think it sounded like a high five for Sloth's Pit.
What on earth is Ong's Hat?
I don't know. That's where I got derailed.
Okay, let me Google this real quick. One of the earliest internet-based secret history conspiracy theories created as a piece of collaborative fiction dating back to the 1980s.
Oh.
Characters were large on the ghost town of Ong's Hat, New Jersey, hence the name of the project. Dang.
So like the great granddaddy of the SCP Foundation back when chat rooms were chat rooms.
That's a name I haven't seen in a while. Galador. This old Lego franchise that nearly bankrupted Lego.
I know Galador. Crazy.
Is that part of their stories?
In 2002, Lego created an ARG for their line of Canadian children's TV series toys for Galador that features some elements of the Ong's Hat story.
That is cool and weird.
Yeah, huh. And it hot links to the SCP Foundation toward the bottom of the page, so yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Huh.
I want to start by saying, I don't know if you remember this. I know that you have like a very tender place in your heart for the tales that are on the SCP Foundation. And I actually have taken inspiration from you. I think it was the interview that you did with White Guard. When I first read your voice on the subject, and I was like, you know what, tales are badass. And I don't know if you remember, I read the Black Autumn 4.
I do remember that, yes.
Yeah, that was me, and you supported me while I was doing that. And I wanted to say thank you so much for supporting me that early in what I was doing, because I was the biggest fanboy on the other side of that. Like, this author that writes this shit that is so fucking good is not only like, yeah, cool. And then you emailed me and you asked me like, hey, you made some word choices there. Is it okay? I think you were like, can I use them?
Yeah, and unfortunately, shortly after that, I had a bit of a mental break and didn't implement all the changes.
Yeah, that's okay though. Like, just the fact that you reached out to me and was like, hey, can I use your words in this thing that I wrote? I was like, oh shit, I don't know what to do with this feeling. Anyway, starstruck. And now, like, it's great to have you on. You definitely influenced me. I don't know if you've noticed, but SCP Unredacted has turned towards tales.
For a while, I was kind of disconnected from the site, but looking at Unredacted, I do see a fair few more tales on there, yeah.
Yeah. I've read, Antimemetics, you got to do that. Especially when Cassie's up your ass about it. So
have any of you watched the Antimemetics Division series? I've been waiting for all the episodes to come out before I binge it.
Yeah, it's good. I'll say that you can tell it was made by a creator that loves SCP.
It's definitely a work of love.
It's also a little bit hilarious because some of the community has been a bit rabid for one of the particular actors.
Mommy Marion.
Mother
some
Wheeler.
of the community has just gotten... Yeah, some of the community's gotten some kind of awakening from watching the performance of the actress who portrays Marion Wheeler.
From what I've seen so far, she's very talented, very good at what she does.
Yes.
I hope she finds professional work.
Yes.
Oh yeah. All right.
Like, hey, we don't kink shame on this show, but you know.
I mean, we do, but we don't.
The lawyers are telling us to say we don't.
We do if it's your kink.
Only Ips.
Ips kink.
Yeah, just specifically.
No comment. No comment.
Our lawyers are telling us that we do not recognize the bodies in or out of the water.
Yeah. First question. How are you?
Honestly, I could be better. Right now, I'm working part-time at the only job I've been able to find in 10 months because I'm stuck in a rural area, and rural economies are even worse than the normal economy. And on top of that, I've been having, without getting too much into it, I've had 2 bouts of nausea in the last week, so I basically spent all my weekend sleeping, trying to rest it off. But writing-wise, I think I'm doing pretty okay. I'm submitting stuff out there. I'm trying to build up a tolerance to rejection, which is not easy to do when you have something called RSD.
Well, we're glad you're back around. I want to say that to you out loud from the heart. We're glad you're back around. It was awesome to see your 8K Con entry. I loved going back to Sloth's Pit. I really appreciate the fact that you're back.
I'm trying to get some stuff out the door right now. I have something planned for On Guard for 3 Canon that has connections to my one I did with Harry Blank. I have something planned that has been in the pipeline for a few years now. And I have this 3rd project plan that also ties into Slothspit that I'm actually working with an awesome artist on. Dino draws Fee. Fee does really great stuff.
Fee?
Yeah, it's neopronouns. Yeah, they're doing some stuff for... Well, Slothspit has never gotten a Nexus format, and Fee had a great suggestion about how to do it in the style of, like, a tourism guide. And they're doing a bunch of art for it, which so far looks great.
That sounds very Wanderer's Library-esque.
I suppose it might be, but I used to be part of the Wanderer's Library, but I posted like 3 things and then never again after I figured out I didn't very much like writing for it. No offense meant to the site, but it's just not my shtick, you know?
Yeah, everybody's got their things, and that one wasn't yours.
Yeah. But overall, I'd say things are looking up a bit. Hopefully, some things are going to get a bit better, because right now my main concern is losing a bit of weight, so I'm sticking to water, I'm sticking to diet sodas.
We love to hear self-care.
Yeah.
So, you gave us a little bit of history with Galador. Can you fast forward past Galador for quite a few years? And wait, so you came to the site in 2011 and became active in 2012. I think that's what I read.
2011, I joined right on Christmas Eve. 2012, I had a lot of free time on my hands because I was still in high school. So back then, I tried writing a few different things. My first idea bombed. It was based off of this role-playing forum I used to be part of that I really should not have been on at the time. But it bombed because it was too similar to another idea. Eventually, I got up the courage to go into the IRC chat. Discord wasn't even around back then. Discord wasn't around until 2015. So this is pre-Discord, maybe even pre-TeamSpeak. I'm not sure.
When chat rooms were chat rooms.
Yeah. And a lot of the people who you see, some of whom will not be named, but Clef was still fairly active back then. Ilana / Raven McKenzie was fairly active back then. Jorik was at his prime back then, though he doesn't like it being called that. Who else? Not Kondraki. Kondraki was banned by then. Unfortunately, Bright was still a presence back then.
I didn't know Kondraki was banned. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, Kondraki got permanently banned for attempting to my understanding, dox another user. And to my understanding, he tried coming back in a few years ago and got told to pound sand.
Wow. That's I had a Obi-Wan Kenobi moment there. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. I think Rights was also active for a little bit back then, but I'm less familiar with her. I know she has a Tumblr blog, but...
What was the writing like on the site? Like, as a consumer, as a reader, because, you know, you're going to consume a lot before you decide to write for this thing.
Bear in mind that back then, we didn't even have 2,000 SCPs. This was pre-2000 contest. And stuff was a lot less, let's say, culturally sensitive back then. There are still a few articles from back then that use terms that were considered acceptable back in the day, but are now considered unacceptable, or slurs. Like, there's this one SCP that uses the R word, quite a few of them, but back then, before 2013, that was considered acceptable. Medical terminology, yeah. And you never really saw a lot of queer characters on the site before, like, 2014, 2013.
Yeah, I remember what was it, the gender changing stone? Am I thinking about it right? I remember when
113
was
a bit of an outlier because it was mainly treated as a joke or some. I think there was one character back then who had being gender queer or gender fluid in their characterization. Agent Diogenes. No relation to the user Diogen S. That's so weird. Diogen _S. But Agent Diogenes, to my understanding, was exposed to 113 so many times that they became agender, pangender, something like that. I honestly don't know, because my first exposure to the site was reading TV tropes, and if I had a nickel for everything TV tropes got wrong about the Foundation, let alone any other piece of media, I could probably afford to move to Seattle.
Is there that much SCP content on the TV Tropes wiki?
Yeah, TV Tropes has a lot of pages for the Foundation. I, in one of my less proud moments, I got permanently banned from TV Tropes due to getting in an edit war with another user over SCP stuff.
Well, this is the most scandalous information that we're going to get out of this interview. Hip is banned from TV Tropes?
Permanently, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, what a rebel.
It is what it is, though.
But you were trying to make sure the information was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Back then, we also had a much smaller community. Like, you didn't see the explosion of amazing fan art that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
And we had queer creators on the site from the beginning, but not queer characters, if that makes sense. Like, the first two winners of the XK contest, 1000 and 2000, are both queer. And I consider myself friends with the author of 1000 by falling out of touch with the author of 2000, which is unfortunate because they're both really cool people.
Yeah, Hammer made an announcement in 19 Chord in the Discord that they were working on something for 8K Con, but I don't think I saw anything by them. So
they were involved with 8888.
Very cool. So that one had multiple K-Con winners in it.
It seems like every contest since 6000, there's one entry that is a bunch of people getting together and putting their best foot forward or trying to.
Yeah.
6500, 7006, 8888. Although 7006, we'll come back to that in a bit. So,
okay. So when you joined the site, whose writing did you look up to?
A couple of people. One of who I won't name due to them being permanently banned since this time. I'm sure you can guess who.
Yeah.
But one of my big influences back then and still today was Dejoric, who he and I have a few years between us. I think he's like 2 or 3 years older than me, but we had a lot of the same interests at the time. We both liked Gravity Falls. We both liked D&D. We both liked basically a lot of the same stuff, and we got to talking about it. And when he put up the thread announcing that he was trying to start a new canon in the form of S&T Plastics and basically said it was inspired by Gravity Falls, I went, okay, I have to get in on the ground floor of this. wrote a Halloween tale for it for a contest at the time. And then it all kind of spiraled out from there.
That was the first iteration of what would become Black Autumn, isn't it?
Not quite. This was a more lighthearted tale about Site 87 being vandalized by a haunted toilet paper roll. Sloth Pit kind of grew out from there. Djorg actually gave me the inspiration for the name in the form of Sloth Spit. From there, I formed the idea of this being originally a town in the Pacific Northwest, but then he pointed out that so much weird stuff happened in the Pacific Northwest that it would be a bit cliche, so I moved it a bit closer to home. For the record, I've never been to Wisconsin. I live in Ohio.
But it works. It works so well for Sloth's Pit and S&C Plastics. Like the rural setting, it's not Pacific Northwest, but it's out there.
Yeah, plus one of the advantages of the Midwest is that it snows a fair bit, and you don't really get that much snow up in the Pacific Northwest outside of the mountain ranges.
And I think I've read that you wanted it to be about the characters and about the people who are trying to live their lives in a nexus in a Foundation site. And it's easy to do that in a setting like rural Wisconsin where, community ties are strong out in those places.
The thing I didn't know at the time is that it's not all that rural. Like, one of the biggest cities in Wisconsin is within spitting distance of it.
Yeah.
Superior. And on the other side of the border in Minnesota is Duluth, who has an entire brand of clothing named after them. So, yeah. Beyond that, other authors I looked up to when I started writing... Quantum had a few good stuff out at the time. QNTM, author of Antimemetics Division. Thing is, I tend to be influenced more by people who joined after me, like Hammer Maiden's work with the Department of Temporal Anomalies. That inspired me to do some pretty cool stuff. I tried working with them on a tale series in SNC Plastics, but due to a certain critic kind of dumping all over it, we never got it finished. That's actually where a lot of the elements of modern-day Sloth Pit come from. Like, the Goatman's full name, the Goatman is a character who is basically a thought form in the series who is invented from the urban legends. His full name comes from an unpublished tale that Hammer Maiden wrote that unfortunately never got out because we got so demotivated by this one critic.
So was it was it the setting or was it the characters or was it both that you guys put together?
Djorg came up with the basic idea. I expanded the setting and populated it with a good part of the characters. Some like Ryan Melbourne, Harold Breaker, and the Bailey triplets are purely his. The Bailey triplets I have a lot of fun with because I made it their thing that they have their ages redacted and they look completely age ambiguous because of crossing universal boundaries so many times. It's cool to have fun with them, and Djorg has some plans involving them in the works to my understanding, but that would be something to ask him, not myself.
Okay. Note, have Djorg on the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has an amazing voice.
Would you put in a good word for us?
I will.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you. Cassie, do you want to grab a question?
Sure. What is the best or most common piece of advice that you think new authors should ignore?
A lot of people say pop into the Discord, 19 Cord as it's sometimes called, as you first interact with the community in order to get feedback on stuff or in order to get an idea of how to do stuff. I think this is a mistake because the official server has over 20,000 people in it. If I was told to go into a server full of 20,000 people that wasn't for something like a video game and engage with people, I would be intimidated. Go to the IRC chat first. It's a bit more chill. It's a bit less active, but at the same time, you'll be able to get to know people a bit better than in Discord. And also, there was this trend going around a year or two back where authors or new users were being told to create an author page before they had any works. Not only is this against site rules and they get summarily deleted, but it makes you look like a complete newbie who doesn't know what you're doing. If someone tells you to do this, assume they're acting in bad faith and do not listen to them.
Is that like people telling you that the pool is on the roof?
Kinda, yeah.
Is that the SCP community version?
I think you already answered our next question. What's the worst piece of advice you see getting passed around the site these days? New authors? Oof.
That's not quite the worst piece of advice. I have a couple of things.
Okay.
Firstly, worst piece of advice I see, this mainly passed around on Reddit, is start with longer/newer entries. Like, most people who find the site at this point, with a few exceptions, are high school or college age.
Mhm.
And speaking from experience, if you're in high school, you probably have learned to hate reading because you're stuck reading stuff like The Great Gatsby or Mice and Men, which have their own merits, but if you're forced to report on it in a specific way that doesn't engage with the work or its themes and are just told to regurgitate what your teacher says, you're not going to want to dedicate brain power to something that's as long as like 6500 or 8888 or even 8000. And related to the above, I've seen so many people try to read SCPs in order. Why would you do this?
There's a podcast doing it. And I've kind of been keeping my eye on them, and they're actually doing it quietly out there. They're at like number 400 and something.
I've seen it.
That's 400 and something episodes of That's like 3 years.
Yeah, people have tried to do this multiple times and failed. If the one person read one SCP a day, that's just on the main list, assuming they only read one 001 entry and don't touch any of the foreign stuff like the Chinese branch or the Italian branch. 21 years!
Wow.
Yeah. And if you decide to do the same thing but read 10 SCPs a day, that's still
2.1 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Oof.
My advice is hit the random article button until you find an article with whose writing style, aesthetics, canonical views you vibe with. And look into the same author or group of authors that wrote it.
I have the SCP app, and my favorite button is the random button. It keeps me very well entertained.
It's the Reader app, right?
I didn't know we had an app.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably a third-party app that somebody made. Just how does it work with like the ones that are games and things like that, Cassie?
Oh, I
there
don't know.
was one game in the it wouldn't. Oh, but you hit the random button, so
Yeah, I mean, I can just look it up. Like, I hit random and I got 4328. So it's
it gives
just,
you the pictures and everything.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And like, you can pick the series on purpose, groups of interests, like all of the. I don't know if you can read it. You can search. You can save favorites. You can download articles. Background. There's info pages, tales, library. Yeah.
You talked about telling new readers, hey, go read the new ones and the long ones first is bad advice. So for authors, I'm going to share an opinion here, and I want you to tell me what you think. I've seen a lot of crit from authors that are like, you got to flesh this out. You got to make it longer. There needs to be a narrative. There needs to be characterization. And I've seen a lot of crit, like author to author crit, but Pepper's Ghost just dropped a it was for the Deer College spring cleaning event.
85.5.
So that right there is the stuff that people absolutely consume when it comes to SCPs. And this is my opinion. Like I said, I opened with that. My opinion, that is an amazing skip. And if you guys haven't read Pepper's Ghost's new one for the Deer College spring cleaning event, go check it out. This isn't a plug for any other reason than I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and it was short. What do you think about that phenomenon shifting to the longer SCPs versus the stuff like Pepper's Ghost just released?
If you'll allow me to respectfully disagree, it does have characterization to a degree. It characterizes 85.5-26 as being gaslit by the Foundation, and Bradson as being a complete and utter bastard. Spoilers, sorry. The only stories that don't have a narrative that have really ever worked, like, stories don't need a plot necessarily, but they need a narrative. They don't need conflict, but they need some kind of a through line you can follow. Even if it's just something like, there's one SCP that was posted recently that's just a series of thematic poems. There's one that was posted recently that's just an image of a scrawled note that says, hey, don't bother with this. And that is a narrative. That is not necessarily a plot, but a narrative. I think people are mixing up narrative and plot a lot. As for characterization, I'm kind of biased, but I do like strong characters in my work. I do like well-written characters.
And I've seen that. So first, let me say thank you for that. I really appreciate you educating me on narrative and plot and things. I'm going to take that with me and possibly change my opinion. For as far as characterization, I've seen people say, or I've read people say, and I think you've addressed this before, that writing characters is difficult for you. Like that somebody had to do a piece of artwork of your characters before you could actually picture them in your head or something like that.
Yeah. Someone did a bunch of fan art of a bunch of my characters, and before them, I was just kind of imagining them all fairly generic, I had ideas for a few of them. This person had red hair, this person had dark skin, this person was blonde, but they never really concretized until I saw this art. And this art had me decide to change the races of one of my major characters because I like the idea of someone in dreadlocks, and I like the idea of more diversity at Site 87.
Oh, is that how Monty got his dreads?
Yeah.
Very cool. It is kind of difficult to picture the characters in your head, but I know what they're going to do. I know how they're going to act for the most part, unless it has to do with plot. They are very strongly written personalities. They're very strongly written characters that they have their own essence in the story.
Right.
Okay, Tails. We know that you've expressed some strong opinions about in the past about Tails being the best content on the site. Do you still hold that opinion? And what Tales series do you think people should be checking out right now?
I'm a bit more mixed on that right now. There's some very good SCP writing out there right now. 8000 is excellent, even if some people incorrectly believe that it shouldn't be the start of a series. But I think a lot of that is that SCPs have become more Tale-like, which I know a lot of the offsite fan base does not like. And I think that's partially my fault with 6500 and my involvement in it. But, if you look at 8008, the so-called time pervert, that's got blocks and blocks and blocks of prose in it. Although it is very adult-oriented, so if we have any minors listening to this, don't click on that until you're 18.
SCP is not for children.
Exactly. I do think that Tales do have some of the better moments on the site because they aren't constrained by the format, but I've decided to resolve that by just including massive blocks of prose in SCPs I consider blockbusters, like my 8000 entry, 8787.
That was great. That was great to see. And it was more like reading a tale than it was like reading an SCP.
Yeah.
That was a great story.
I'm never going to miss an opportunity to plug On Guard 43. Great stuff there, though I am a bit biased because I have written for it. I've been meaning to get to The Breach Goes On, but right now, with work and everything, I'm so tied up that I've only been able to read parts that I need to read for stuff I'm writing. Grigory Karpin has done some great stuff with the Hecaton Chires cycle. That's a bit of a mouthful, but this series focusing on Site 91 in England, and it ties into all sorts of stuff like the Deva and Sarkix, alien cults, all sorts of fun stuff. I actually met Grigory because I critted something of his for that series. Man in the White Suit is some pretty good stuff as well. It's a nobody-focused tale set in a canon that was founded by some people who just left it to rot for a few years.
So there's new Man in a White Suit stuff out?
No, but I'm going to plug it anyway because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite tale series on the site, Dancing with Rachel by Dark Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I started reading that the other day.
Yeah, no, Dark Stuff is an incredibly talented author, and he wrote the majority of that when he was only 18 or 19.
Damn.
Yeah, incredibly talented. Cannot recommend enough.
So, Ip, do you have any guilty pleasures?
On the site or off?
Yes.
Either or.
Yes.
Off-site, I like Marvel movies still. I I know it's not cool to like them anymore. I know it's capitalist trash, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 legitimately had me crying. The Marvels is better than people think
absolutely.
it is.
They did a great job with Rocket's story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like Magic the Gathering way too much, despite the fact that the company that runs it is kind of trash. Like,
yes.
Hell with, like, Hasbro sucks.
Do you have a kind of deck you like to play more than any others? Like a theme or color?
Joda the Unifier. Wooburg. Oh, that look you're giving me is the same look I got when I stopped going to my LGS.
Oh.
But that's not my favorite deck. My favorite deck is probably Merryweather, like Duelist Voltron.
Okay.
And Maelstrom Wanderer.
Yeah.
Cascade.
Yeah.
I found a way to give Maelstrom Wanderer like 5 instances of Cascade.
No. Why would you do that to people? You're a mean person. Ah. Oh no. I was gonna say, hey, we should play, and now I don't want to.
I'm not sure if my maniacal laughter is coming through or not. My mic filter is usually pretty good about that.
It is. I will play, but only if I can use my slithers.
Other guilty pleasures I have. Book-wise, I've been reading a lot of just kind of trashy thriller novels. Something called Sigma Force. It's poorly written, poorly researched. Not as bad as Dan Brown, but Sigma Force is essentially Dan Brown for creationists, which, yeah.
Nice.
I also have been, I'm going to be honest, I've been watching a lot of cop shows lately because I wanted to try to get back into writing the UIU at some point. Unusual Incidents Unit is...
Procedurals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
As long as it's strictly for research.
I have been watching Law and Order SVU since the year it came out, so I understand.
Yeah.
That's a guilty pleasure, and it makes no sense sometimes. All right. Is there any particular piece you've written that surprised you by the reader's reception?
A couple of pieces. One of them was, earlier I said that there was a point in history where there weren't a lot of queer characters on the site. I decided to try my hand at writing one in the form of the UIU Tales series with no name. It was one of the first things on the site that showed the UIU as actually being competent as opposed to constantly amnesticized mall cops. But unfortunately, it's never been finished, and I doubt it ever will be at this point unless I wanted to take another page out of Jork's book and give it the so-called Real Adventures in Capitalism treatment, which is where I take a series and summarize what would have happened at the ending of it in the form of a single tale. It was actually surprisingly well liked, and its reception might have led to the growth of the UIU into something actually fairly competent. Like, obviously, ACAB, and that includes the FBI, but...
Is that it's just a summarization of what would have been a tale series?
Yeah, the Real Adventures in Capitalism. Jork tried writing something focusing on Dr. Wondertainment called Adventures in Capitalism, but he never finished it properly and decided to just write a tale series wherein he summarized what would have happened.
I would love to read that, like out loud. Like I would love to narrate that.
It's on the site still, and honestly, you'd probably do a better job of it than most people because, okay, so there's this one content creator on YouTube, I won't say their name, but they did an SCP Iceberg video a while back, and the version of Dr. Wondertainment that Jork created, Dr. Isabel Wondertainment, they said that she only shows up once on the site, this content creator. She's in over 30 tales, and the SCP he cited her showing up in, one, that wasn't even her, that was Iris Dark as Wondertainment. And two, that wasn't even tagged as Isabel Wondertainment. Like, research, isn't that hard to do?
Some people are bad at their jobs. Not us, but some people.
There is one other work I'd like to talk about for this question. Back a few years ago, before and during the height of the pandemic, the site used to hold something called a jam contest, where people had 24 hours to write a tale, an SCP, a GOI thing, based on a specific theme. And one of the themes for the first jam contest was a dark and stormy night. And I had this idea for Nexus in my head for a long while, where it's never daytime, it's eternal night, and because of that, all sorts of weird stuff happens. And the Foundation is forbidden from operating in that Nexus. It's up in Oregon, it's called Eventide, and the Foundation is forbidden from operating here by an agreement from the GOC, so they disguise themselves as a massive criminal syndicate who robs banks, runs drugs, all of that fun stuff in order to get their work done.
What is your favorite non-SCP content to consume right now?
Oh, that's a couple of things right now. The works of Jasper Ford, a Welsh author who has heavily influenced my views on metafiction and writing. His Thursday Next novels are great. His Shades of Grey novels, not to be confused with 50 Shades, are astounding pieces of dystopian fiction. My only problem is that the man decided to take a break from writing for a few years, and most of his series have been on hiatus for anywhere ranging from 7 years to a decade. One of his books released earlier this year, I managed to get an advanced copy from the UK. It's a sequel to a story that was published in 2009. That's a 13-year gap. Yeah, it's a long time between books, but he's a good author. Beyond that, I've been watching a lot of Psych. It's been making my subscription to Peacock worth it. Amazing show.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to make my way through Alan Wake 2, but I keep on running into a bug that motivates me.
Wait, which bug?
So I'm playing on a bit of a lower end machine, and in certain sections where Alan has to rewrite reality, I sometimes run through sections a bit too quickly before all the geometry loads in, and I get stuck. Soft locked. Alan Wake was also a massive influence on my writing. Like, I fully credit it with the vibes of Sloth Pit, and I'm like 80% sure that Remedy referenced it in Control, which is obviously based off the SCP Foundation. The way they reference it is that they have the main character and her brother come from the town of Ordinary, Wisconsin. That might just be a coincidence, but Ordinary was said to be, I think, somewhere in New England in previous works, so who knows?
Yeah, I love Remedy games. Sam Lake's writing for those games. It's some of my fucking favorite that I've seen.
I was in hysterics during Chapter 4 of Alan's story. You know the one.
Yeah, the musical episode.
Yeah. I was just like... And it's not even the only one in the game!
Yeah, it's like... Yeah, then Dark Ocean summoning for Saga later on, but like... I love how like Sam fought to have the musical entry to be kept in the game. Like he fought so hard over the years. They were being like, maybe we should remove that. And he's like, no, we're keeping this.
Video game wise, I've also been spreading Managed Democracy and Helldivers 2.
Oh.
But it's a good game overall. I'd recommend it. I just wish the devs would be a bit more diligent about bug squashing.
Oh, somebody wants to know, have we asked you what your favorite SCP is?
Oh, I actually had some answers for this on my interview with Whiteguard, but they might have changed since then.
Do you have a spreadsheet?
Sadly, no. Let's pick one from every series. Series 1, SCP-097, The Old Fairgrounds by Dexanote, which heavily inspired Black Autumn 1. Series 2... 1496 was interesting, but you had to kind of be there for it, because 1496, the most profound statement in history, crossed out a place setting, was an article that was updated over the course of its lifetime until it got to its current state as kind of an experiment. I'm not sure if it worked, but it was an interesting experiment, and it's certainly memorable to me. 1499 is another good one from Series 2, the gas mask. The twist in that had me thrown for a massive loop. Series 3, 2282 Goat is pretty funny. I wanted to collaborate with the author of that for a while, but unfortunately it never manifested. Scravecrow 2331 is also very good. Oh, every Murphy Law SCP is great. 3043 Type 3043 for murder. Interactive Time Loop is another great one. I used to be a bit down on 2817, which is the one that deals with what the concept of death is in the Foundation universe, but I've since come around on it, in part because the end of death canon is excellent.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yes.
I've wanted to contribute to it for years. I might actually end up doing it. Orcadian Horseman 3456
Yes.
is yes. 4003 from Series 5, The Cowboys, Catholicism, and the Cretaceous. Massachusetts 4006 is hard for me to suspend my disbelief for, but still very good.
Massachusetts was pretty good.
Darkstuff's probably one of my favorite authors on the site, so just basically anything of his is good.
Yeah.
I'm not recommending this one necessarily, but nutty multi-timeline drifting 4437 is immediately catching my eye. Sorry, was that too loud?
No, not at all.
Oh, you're fine.
4494 The Spectre Fights for Justice.
Yes, the Spectre.
We're actually integrating Spectre into a segment on this show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
SCP-4040, but I'm a bit biased because that is literally the bottomless pit at the center of Sloth's Pit. Jumping forward a bit to the 7000 series, the Neon God, Tufto is an amazing author, and honestly, if he doesn't have something... If he's not a pro-published author, I would be very surprised to learn that, because he is almost too good for this site. I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that as the highest compliment. Like I would probably have a novel published by now if I was as good as Tufto. Oh, 5000 series. 5107 Pattern Screamer Esquire. 5170. Probably one of my favorite Pattern Screamer SCPs. I don't much care for Pattern Screamer, so that's saying much. I think they're a cool concept, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people don't write them the best, if that makes sense. 5404 Boom Boom Words. A great meta article. 5415 is great if you know film history. 120 Days of Gamora, though it is a bit disturbing at times. Okay, 6000 series. 6004 by Dr. Balthazar. Balth's a great friend of mine, and The Rainbow Serpent is easily one of his top 3 works. All of his XOO contest entries are bangers.
Rainbow Serpent is amazing.
I just wish it got better reception, because from what I've been told, what happened during that contest was that Balth name-dropped a certain totalitarian government leader in the SCP, and people who were part of that leader's branch, like from the same nation of that leader, mass downvoted it because they didn't want their wiki to be censored in that country.
That shows a little bit how the SCP Foundation wiki is a force of nature.
Yeah.
Because it motivated like an entire segment of people that were, they're part of the community, but they're segmented by borders.
Yeah,
and it was literally a politically motivated downvote. That's wild.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, 7000, I don't have much to say in, because I left right as the 7000 contest was ending because my brain broke. My brain done broke.
Brains are great like that.
6449 is good, but it's sad. It's very sad. Like the title is, I Miss My Cat
sad.
Frowny Face. Just to give you an idea of the subject matter.
Yeah, that's probably right up Kelsey's alley.
Yeah. The tab is open.
Oh, God.
In the 8000 series, though, 8249 of Agents Archon and Adam the Transient is a lesser-known SNC Plastics piece by a very talented author, Jack Ike. I actually ended up cross-linking to it in my own 8000 entry because I liked it so much.
Nice.
Oh, Burial Goods.
Yeah,
8140. Yes. I realize this is a very long list, but all of these are legit good.
Yeah. You don't ask it what their favorite
Apparently not.
SCP is without experiencing the list of them.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Sorry.
You're not sorry.
It's an autistic hyperfixation, Sumi.
No, we understand that here.
Yeah.
You are amongst your own kind.
Yeah, this is definitely a safe space.
One from an author I genuinely miss. For 3007, World of Two Artists.
Yeah.
Anything that you're working on now, Ip, that you want to plug?
On-site or off-site. Either or.
Yes.
I do have a short story that's been professionally published, so if I could plug that, possibly.
Where can people find this work?
Let me look it up. It's on Amazon, and the anthology is available on Amazon. Shadows Over Avalon, Volume 1, curated by Nicole Petit. It's a crossover between the Cthulhu mythos and Arthurian lore.
Ooh.
That's some mix of stuff.
Yeah, send me that link, whatever link that you prefer people to click through, and we will get that in the show notes for sure. What is the name of it?
Shadows Over Avalon.
Shadows Over Avalon.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to get that in the show notes.
That's a great title.
I'm not going to say which story I wrote in there, partly because my name's kind of already out there if you look on the wiki, partly because it's unfortunately placed in the book, and I don't want people to just read it without paying for it.
That's fair.
I'll say that much. On the site, I am planning on reviving an old project that was meant to be published as part of a major crossover project that I will not name until it's actually out. I'm going to publish it hopefully before the end of the week as part of the spring cleaning contest.
Cool. It's going to be very cool to see your name in
spring cleaning. Yes.
Yeah. I've already got 3 solid favorites out of that one. It's not a contest and it's not being like promoted really.
I am also going to be entering the other category of the contest, if indirectly, because someone picked up my draft and they've agreed to collaborate on it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an older draft that's based entirely upon basically terrorists and bombs back in time bombs, if you will.
Very nice. Can you say who you're working on that with?
Cows Can't Go Moo is their name.
I've heard this name. Anything else you want to plug for the listeners?
Am I allowed to plug other podcasts? Because more people should be listening to Simply Creative People.
Sure.
Yeah.
And more people should be listening to this, obviously. I'm actually going to be on Simply Creative People in a few weeks.
Love it.
Talking about SNC Plastic, so you might be hearing more lore over there.
Very cool. I love what they do with the hubs, and I love what they do with the cannons, and just expound on everything over on that show. I love it.
Yeah.
Do we have any mail tonight?
We do.
Right.
We do have mail.
All right. From Fern. If y'all are the Muppets, does that make me Scooter?
Scooter. I've got you pegged as a solid Camilla. Like, if Cassie is Gonzo, then you're one of her chickens.
Yes. I have a yes. Fern can be my chicken. I'm in love with Fern. Nice.
Camilla, my sweet.
Nice. My favorite plant.
Our next email is from it's from fan of the show.
It's not often Cassie gets the giggles. Let's savor this for a second. She done told herself a dirty joke.
Okay. Fucking. I muted myself on purpose.
All right, while Cassie's muted, you want to go ahead and read Phyrexian's email?
I mean, I guess. This next email is from Phyrexian Hollow. Hey, I'm running out of ways to integrate nerd into normal words. Damn. Hey, nerd bubblegum. Give me a couple more weeks and I'll have something. Anywho, question for y'all. Which SCP GOI would each of the hosts likely belong to, meaning non-Foundation groups? Hollow out.
All right, Hollow, I've actually had some time to think about this, and I would be not a GOI, but a liaison between two. I would be the liaison between Marshall Carter and Dark, and Are We Cool Yet? That's where I would be.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yep.
You would. Yep. Nolan?
I think I would probably go with Church of the Second High Toth.
Nice.
Ooh, man went with the
'cause-
High Toth. That's the blood cult, isn't it?
Actually, it's not a blood cult. It's an actually galactically officially recognized religion, Kelsey.
God, Kelsey.
We're not going to accept bigotry. We're not going to accept bigotry on the show, okay?
I said corrected.
I really like it because it's like the good version of what the Daba could have been. Of, yeah, utilizing like a form of ritual blood magic, but for actual good purposes.
I think I might have a negative perspective of the Church of the Second High Toth because my introduction to that lore was SCP-7046, the Unwilling Blood.
No.
And that was by Hawk. That's our writer who wrote that.
Yeah.
That was my introduction to the Second High Toth, and it was about like literally going rogue and stealing blood to make those offerings.
It's more so just one like fanatic that gets like overly obsessed with it, and the rest of the religion basically trying to take them down before the Foundation was able to get to them.
Yeah, we're lucky. Hawk's a hell of a writer, and we're lucky to have that individual on staff here writing our scripts for us.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Do I have to tell you guys what GUI I would belong to?
Yeah.
Nolan?
Yeah. That's part of the
Them's
thing.
the rules, damn it.
How many fingers are these?
5.
Yeah, it is, boys. I would be in the 5th church, and I'm surprised we didn't know this by now.
You got a fifthist over here.
Yup.
You're the one of us who would be in a literal cult.
I like how you and I have both fucking religious GUIs. I like how that worked out.
At least my GUI are good people.
Damn.
Are you saying I'm not a good people?
You want to cast in on this one? If you were a GOI, what would you be?
I'd probably go back to school at Deer College.
Nice.
I've been intending to go back to school for a while now, and if I get to learn magic, that's just a bonus.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't have much exposure to Deer College before this contest when I started doing research for the segment that we were talking about, the spring cleaning event, and I was like, Deer College is actually a very cool thing. I didn't have that much exposure to it until now. So thanks you guys for putting on that event, the spring cleaning event, to get Deer College a little bit more publicity out there.
Deer College is cool.
I just had an idea. So we're talking about which GOIs we would belong to. You know which GOI we, as this show, would belong to? We'd belong to the Wandsmen. They're the extra-dimensional journalists and archivists. I love the Wandsmen. I was looking at the list. I'm like, oh shit, we're Wandsmen.
Watching the Watchers.
We'd be the bird people.
We are the bird people. Caw-caw.
We're Bird Person from Rick and Morty.
Oh, now that we've become Bird Person, I think we've reached the pinnacle of what we've set out to accomplish today, and that's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to our patrons, Arsfel, Lack of Lepers, and Onimask Productions for supporting us at patreon.com/scpweekly. Your support helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep making the creative content that we do. It helps us keep bringing awesome guests on the show like Ip. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing your experience on the wiki with us and yourself with us.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be here, and hopefully this won't be the last time I get to talk to you guys.
Love it. Intro and outro music was Caught You at the Perfect Time by Superintendent McCupcakes. Thanks to Ip for spending time with us. Thanks to our sponsor, Dado Tax Payment to IRS. SCP Weekly is distributed by Smooth Cadence Productions. SCP Weekly is not affiliated with the SCP Foundation Wiki, and as such, the opinions presented in this program are our own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Wiki or its staff.
Music is provided by Epidemic Sound.
Content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from the SCP Wiki and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is hereby also released under CC by SA 3.0. Until next time, I'm Kelsey.
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Nolan, the K is silent. And this was SCP Weekly.
Hooray! Woo!
Yay!
Thank you,
Ed.
We love you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Many I've been here before, made it out of 11 more. Like my frontal cortex, so I can't stop, I want it all. Listen up, I'm calling you. I need you to tell the truth. Remember when you wanted to. Remember that I said was you. Got you at the perfect time. I was watching it then. You knew what you wanna do. But I can never be your friend. Got me reading between the lines. Girl, you got me so blind. You know what you wanna do. So I can never be your friend. And the men don't we kinda turn around, eat your greens. When you fart, but you do be clean. Then you come to the bed and you love real dirty. It's everybody sweater drops, you're real keen. Bring it, let me get your juiciest piece. Can't remember when I've had the same please. The shops of the club never had no boundary. How's it gonna be? You wanna eat these centipedes? Where we gonna go? You're gonna need these calories. Giving me a treat to refill these batteries. Then you only them on your knees, there's no weather dream. Ooh, it's sneaking up on you. There's nothing you can do. There's things about the boo. Ooh, it's sneaking up on you. There's nothing you can do. There's things about the boom. I lose control when you do it like that. Thank God you love when I go mad. Got you at the perfect time. I was watching it then. You know what you wanna do. But I can never be your friend. Got me reading between the lines. Girl, you got me so blind. You know what you wanna do. So I can never be your friend.
It's definitely the eclipse.
Did you see the fucking thing in the water by Antarctica? Have you seen anything about that? Let me see.
Nope.
I'm talking Africa. I'm talking
Oh, yeah?
coastline. So there's this thing that's all over TikTok that like a NORAD looking map, and it shows like the heat and cool of the oceans and stuff, and then this black mass the size of fucking 2 Texas appears in the ocean between Africa and Antarctica, and it just kind of moves and gets bigger as it goes up the side of its coast. It's fucking freaky.
Damn.
And I love that shit.
Is that the temperature? Like, is that where the water is colder?
It's just black. It's just a black mass, and it's not
Oh,
like...
that's cool. That's
I am guaranteeing you that this weekend had bitches writing shit. All sorts of reasons. The last couple of days and this past weekend, with the weather being like it is, there was wind that was so bad, I forget where, that there were no waves coming in. It was going against the waves, preventing waves to rolling over the beaches. Like that,
Wow.
I'm fairly certain was not AI generated. I mean, you can't tell sometimes these days. But just, the water's just there, not moving towards the beach, just sits, and there's just massive winds.
Any podcast that I've ever listened to with IP on it, or even in writing, if you call him IHP, he will correct you.
Amazing. I'm pretty sure I've said IHP because IP seems like something you would do incorrectly. But all right, IP. So we're calling him IHP at least once on purpose, right? Because we're terrible
at the very
people.
Beginning.
And we have IHP today.
That's you.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
you.
know that's what you wanted.
That's it. Yep.
I didn't know that's what you wanted. I didn't know that's what
And we
I was
have
doing.
IH. Sorry, I should put the dashes.
Yeah.
There you
IHP today. Yep. In the hiccup. That makes more sense. I just thought we were being
go.
cute.
Hooray.
I just thought we were being cute. I love it. Better. All right. That didn't sound right.
Yeah.
Into the art contest right now, or this?
Yep.
Which? The?
The.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Double V's.
Yeah. Shut up.
Double V's nuts.
Wow, I love it. That was great. That was great. I had no sounds. I had no sounds. When I have no sounds, something is wrong. I think my brain malfunctioned. That was great. I've never heard that one before. I gotta file that away for later.